British pharmacist then has been found guilty of spreading terrorist propaganda to children. The court proved that Zamir Gumrah had been showing graphic Twitter videos on his mobile phone to primary school children. Polly Boyker's got the story.
The court heard how Zamir Gumrah brainwashed these two boys of primary school age. That's children under the age of 11. He gave the boys sweets. He showed them graphic beheading videos and told them that Islamic State weren't bad people. He asked them if they wanted to go to Syria or to stay in the UK, and they told him that they wanted to remain in the UK. And he said that in that case, he would want them to persuade others to join Islamic State. This man was a pharmacist in Northamptonshire. That's a profession that's got you talking to a lot of people on a daily basis. And according to some media reports, he was even in the process of setting up a religious school. The reality is that there are many more just like him across the country. Jihadist propaganda gets more clicks in the UK than it does anywhere else in Europe. And unfortunately, there have been intelligence failures here in the country when it comes to stopping potentially dangerous individuals. For example, one of the London Bridge attackers, Karam Butt, it turned out that he'd appeared in a TV documentary called The Jihadis Next Door. That was a year before he carried out that horrific attack in London Bridge. He was filmed in that documentary undercover, praying in the middle of London next to a black Islamic flag. He was pictured with notorious Islamic preachers, and when this became known, the Metropolitan Police were forced to issue a statement saying that Butt had been known to MI5, but at the time there was no evidence to suggest that he had been planning an attack. Similar cases with the perpetrators of the Manchester and the Westminster attacks as well. Both Salman Abedi and Khalid Masood were known to the authorities before they carried out their terrorist attacks. So there is a sense that there needs to be a greater effort made to try and stop these individuals from being radicalized before it's too late. What's hard for the authorities is that the nature of the threat has changed in precisely this way. These aren't huge underground terrorist networks that they're trying to crack. These are individuals like pharmacists, like underground workers who are spreading this ideology and hoping that somebody acts on it.
Well, the investigation revealed that Gumrah had been posting tweets in which he expressed extreme Islamist views and endorsed ISIL soldiers back in 2014. He's just been sentenced to 6 years in jail then for what the judge called a determined effort to radicalise children and turn them into terrorists. Let's talk now to political commentator David Vance joining us on the line. Hi, David. Thanks for your time. This went on for some time. The judge said the targeting of children made this case particularly serious. It seemed that Judge Gregory Dickinson QC said this guy was making a determined effort to radicalise children. Why wasn't he brought to book sooner, I wonder?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. And then an equally good question would be, how come, having been convicted of seeking to radicalise children, primary school children, Kevin, in this way, he's been given 6 years? 6 years, maybe he'll be out in 3 years. The message being sent is that we are absolutely inept when it comes to, in the first instance, catching these people. And then when we do get them, we give them these risible prison sentences. This guy should have been stuck away in solitary for life to send a message. But the message we've sent is he's got away with it, you know, with a relatively moderate sentence.
It's interesting the judge noted as well that there was an absence of any remorse from this man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's absolutely bound to rights. This was an apostle for jihad, caught red-handed, doing that most wicked of things, showing primary school kids beheading videos, telling them that they mustn't have non-Muslim friends. This was a guy operating against every best practice in the UK. So, yeah, of course he's showing no remorse. But why would he, and why would others, when they see that when he's been caught and convicted, he's been given a slap in the knuckles and told, don't let it happen again? That's not the way to deal with this, Kevin. And that's why, as your colleague just said, said the UK has got a particular problem. We don't take jihad seriously, but the jihadists take us very seriously.
Why is it, do you think, the UK has got the biggest audience in Europe for jihadist online propaganda? Why is that?
Well, maybe it's because our authorities do very little to clamp down on them. I mean, it's as you said, Kevin, this guy was tweeting stuff. So he was using the social networks, and yet in the UK we have got the government moving against those who tweet things which are critical of radical Islam, whilst at the same time turning a blind eye to radical Islam. Now, you tell me, Kevin, how's that one going to end when you won't actually deal with the core of the problem, namely a wicked radical ideology which seeks to pervert, in this instance, the minds of young kids and turn them into potential killers.
Theresa May, Amber Rudd, the government there at the moment, they are proposing to clamp down on this. The Home Secretary saying that people now who view this kind of online terrorist material could face up to 15 years in jail. Is that going to stop it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, in the first instance, yeah, well, that's 15 years and 6 years is quite a contrast. So this gentleman's got away with it very lightly. And in the second instance, I don't believe for one moment that this government is serious in giving serious sentences to those convicted of this. This is dancing around the edges stuff, Kevin. It's not tackling radical Islam. It's not sending the radicals the message that the UK will not tolerate them and their poison. And until we get really serious, much worse will happen.
In Belfast this afternoon, political commentator David Vance, thanks for being live on the programme.